let's get into defensive storylines. I want to start with this young man, Vincent Shavers.
Yes.
Because I feel like
yes,
that has been you okay there, big boy?
Yes.
You little excited there?
what's wrong with you, Sean? Go. Vincent Shavers, number 51.
But he's been a story this spring. I mean, I think, and by the way, I'm probably going to owe you a steak dinner about Bly Hill. Sounds like he's on the come.
Oh yeah. How about you? How about you writing him off earlier, Sean? And what did I say? Don't write off a 6'3" corner. I mean,
but he's coming on. But Vincent Shavers, the freshman linebacker that Miami pretty much had to part ways with because they were full on Nebraska, took a 1-week recruiting process visit on him and got him on campus and got him to sign. And he looks to be one of the more valuable high school guys they brought in already.
This pure inside linebacker, right? I mean, one of those two spots he would fill. He's not a jack. He's not working with the jacks. He doesn't look like a jack. I don't think he's not nearly as big, for instance, as Borders and MJ Sherman. But yeah, I've just watched him in drills. Well, obviously we haven't seen any scrimmaging, and he's quick. If I were Shavers, I'd not wear number 51. I'd wear a lower number. In fact,
maybe you'll get one of those.
I get close to single digits as I can.
Maybe he wants to be Will Compton.
Maybe he's a little faster. Nothing against that, Will, but
shots fired, Will.
Shavers, yeah, definitely gets your attention, Sean. I mean, he's as far as young defenders, it would be Shavers and who else is in that conversation? Mostly Shavers.
Dwight Boodle's a redshirt freshman. I think he's a guy to watch right now. Jeremiah Charles, I believe, has been out. Has he been
apparently? Well, he wasn't on the. I didn't see him on the injured list, on Rob's injured list today.
No, okay. Jeremiah Charles, though, with what he's proven in the gains, I think he's another. And I'm going redshirt freshman because I think what Shavers has done to get this far already. We're talking about a game of college football now that's littered with 22, 23, 24-year-old players. And you're seeing this now in basketball and other sports. And Ryan Day made this comment, you have to be old to win. And Ohio State has tried to get old in football. And so for what Shavers has done to come in as a newcomer, it tells you how much ability is there that he's getting at least this kind of mention right now.
Well, I think it goes beyond ability with him too. I think it goes to his maturity and character. Like you go back last year, like the reason Cam Lenhart was so good is because he's acted like a 28, 30-year-old man as a true freshman. And I think just based off some of the comments, especially from Rhule on Tuesday, where he says he plays football the way you want it to be played, and he loves the game. He has zero entitlement. He's a blessing to be around, and he's such a joy to coach. For a true freshman to come in and get that type of praise, especially from a head coach that he himself said doesn't like to dish a bunch of praise on true freshmen, that's notable. Yeah, that shows you that he's not going to play, but he's going to play a lot.
He could. I mean, so you got Javin Wright at that position. You got Gabair. And you got Bullock, John Bullock.
MJ Sherman is a jack.
I think they got him listed jack.
It's confusing, though, because they can move those guys around. And so you don't want to get too caught up on positions.
No, you don't. But it's interesting. I think you would say, correct me if I'm wrong, Rob and Sean, you would say Sherman, you would maybe move to an inside linebacker, but not Borders. Borders doesn't look like
is a true jack.
Yeah, he's more of a true jack. So there's some guys you can kind of slot, and then there's others it's harder to slot.
Like Noonan could be a jack or a D lineman.
Right. Noonan's harder to slot.
Princewell Umanyalan has gone from D line and jack both.
Harder to slot.
Amari Butler has done both.
Yeah.
So I think with Tony White's defense is you have to have versatility.
Yeah.
And you got to find matchups. And I think with the versatility some of these guys have, it gives them some options. By the way, I'll throw this out there too. I've heard Stephon Thompson has kind of made a little turn here too. I know from reports I've heard he looked good in the scrimmage Saturday.
The Syracuse transfer
that kind of was not still trying to quote learn their standard.
Well, he made a lot of plays at Syracuse, a lot of tackles. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches on, starts to catch on, because he's proven like he's kind of like Banks in that regard. Probably not quite as high a level as Banks. The other guy that we all agreed on today or earlier this week was Chief Borders.
Mm-hmm.
Chief Borders was getting after it in the practice and looked good. I mean, they were doing a pass rushing drill. It was the jacks and some of the linebackers, and he looked to be the most explosive of them. Am I wrong, Rob?
Yeah, and it was just a individual position drill. So I mean, you only put so much stock into it, but just based off that, I mean, there wasn't a guy in that group that was getting off the line the way he was and hitting the bag with the force and the power that he was. And so I mean, just for taking observations away from that very minimal and pretty watered down portion of practice that we got to watch, that popped right away to all of us, to the point where each one of us, we weren't standing next to each other.
No, we were
all doing our own thing.
We didn't consult it either.
And each one of us had that takeaway. Say, hey, he looks, and then you pair that. Matt Rhule mentioned him early. He's like, hey, Chief Borders is having an off season, and I think that was a perfect example of it.
It was striking to me because it looked like his effort level was a little higher than everybody's. He was in game mode. It looked like to me.
Fall camp mode.
Yeah, he was sweating. I mean, it was pretty, and he's making sounds. Football. Sorry.
How about Tony White though? Like, I think you think of him as a reserved guy. We got the
snarl today.
We got the unfiltered version in our 30-minute viewing period.
Yeah, and we didn't get it. The players got it, to be clear, but I didn't know he had that kind of growl. He's got a growl. I was sort of taken aback by it. We know that Donovan Raiola does. I mean, hey, he's got a wicked growl.
I have a hunch that Matt Rhule really challenges coaches.
I think he must have
to get after it.
Yeah.
And set the tone.
He did tell us. Rhule did say he asked for more intensity, but I think he probably was pretty emphatic with his coaches. I think you're right.
Donovan Raiola. I was like, I don't even want to catch myself looking at him because he might jump on me.
It's kind of beautiful to watch.
Old school.
Yeah, it was kind of beautiful.
Hey, with that, do you know what I noticed? I put this in my observations, but so Raiola has always been that guy, that fiery, just screaming, yelling, just like tough dude. You know who hasn't been that way as far as my observations goes with Bryce Benhart, but today or on Tuesday, he had that fire. He was barking at younger guys saying, get your butt in gears. Like, what are you doing? Come on, focus. Like that type of thing. And I always thought of Benhart as this kind of reserved guy that didn't say a whole lot. Well, he's saying a lot now. And I think that vocal leadership element has really blossomed with him.
We've been over there a lot over the years. Like Perella had some fire like that, but you don't see a lot of assistants. I mean, for as nuts as Bo seemed, he wasn't like that during the practices. Like
Papuchis could be.
Remember
Papuchis?
Carl could kind of lose it too sometimes.
Yeah.
But Bo was kind of like reserved when you watch practice. Like you didn't see Bo really get on it in practice.
No, you're right.
Like what we saw with these coaches to this week. I mean, honestly, we've been going to practice a long time. I mean, you might have to go back to the Callahan era where there were some assistants back in that era, like Elmasian.
Yeah, the other guy that was getting after it today was Satterfield. And I loved it. I love one thing that would drive me nuts as an older coach is when they're doing passing drills on air and there's balls on the ground. And Satterfield kept saying, no balls on the ground. Why is that ball on the ground? He said, no balls on the ground. You're passing against air. Why is there balls on the ground? You go to an NFL practice, you won't see a ball on the ground. And here they're just throwing on air, and it's like, what? How does that happen? And Satterfield was all livid. Over them. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say he's livid, but he was making it clear. And the other guy that's gotten that's very vociferous is Ron Brown. I mean, he's into it.
Now, technically, you can't coach.
Yeah, that's what. Scratch that part. Jack Brown is his name, actually.
But Ron Brown has always been animated.
Yeah, he's
passionate.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right, Sean. Right. No, you're right about that.
I'm going to take the helicopter in.
Yeah, please
when we
land it.